Good morning. You're listening to Overcoming Life. I am your host, Opal Bailey. During the couple of weeks that I've been going through school and doing the things throughout my life, I just noticed that I have really had a time crunch issue because I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but there seemed to be not enough time in a day to get the things done that you need to complete. And I find myself overwhelmed. I found myself feeling flustered because of my time. I felt that it was just not either being used properly or I'm just using too much time in somewhere else. But what I found out I had to do, because when I get overwhelmed or I feel overwhelmed, I get in the mode of a slowdown. I have to stop and evaluate, like, why am I overwhelmed? What is going on with me? And I realized that I wasn't using my time wisely. So in the process of me evaluating myself and figuring out what's going on with my time and why I feel rushed and flustered, I realized that I stopped doing something that I used to do many, many years ago. And that was to have a to-do list. And I remember even with when I was my kids was young and everything, I remembered having a to-do list, even for them, make sure I pick them up from school, make sure their lunch is ready. I have their lunch, I have their dinner, make sure they take a bath at a certain time. And I remember having that list, and it was like so easy for me to be able to track my day and to stay on target. But the main thing I noticed when I had that list was that I wasn't stressed. I wasn't overwhelmed. And it felt good to be able to know that at the end of the day, I accomplished something. So when I was evaluating what was going on with me, I realized I need to get back to what I knew worked for me. And that may be something that you can be encouraged to do. Find something that works for you to get you back on track with your time, because we can always find something to do with our time. The scriptures tells us that everything that we do is profitable. That means that we can do what we want, but is it beneficial? That's the key. Are we using our time in the right place at the right moment, in the right energy? Are we giving attention to something that is going to benefit us? Or are we just using time as something to just be doing things? And another thing that reminded me of how important it is for a to-do list was when one time I was working in ministry, and I'm over the singles ministry at Destiny Church, and I was just getting in, I'm just gung-ho, and I'm just doing a lot of things, and we got a lot of activities, and when I heard the Lord speak to me, he said, I don't need you to be busy. I need the ministry to be effective. And it just stopped me in my tracks. And then I had to reevaluate, and I had to okay, God, show me what to do, how to use my time that you've given me, this ministry, wisely. See, we're not to be doing a whole bunch of things. We can do everything we want to do. We can go out and be everything to everybody that we feel like we need to be. But are we being effective in what you're doing? Are you being effective in that one thing? If you're doing one thing, are you being effective in that one thing? Because if you are, then that one thing is what is going to impact everyone else, not doing 20 million things. So I had to learn that myself because I'm a multitask person as well as a perfectionist. So I got to keep doing it, and it got to be perfect. And then you just run yourself ragged. So when I was sitting at home and I'm looking at my schoolwork, and, my school course is more intense now than it was when I first started, because I'm in my major courses, and I'm graduating this year in October. Now I realize that, okay, I can't look at this course now as if I just started college, which they kind of, ease your way into the hard stuff. I have to now buckle down and say, okay, what is beneficial? What things is beneficial for me right now? And it helped me when I created my to-do list. So I will put everything on the to-do list. I put my friends on there, my family, my relationship, my job, my school, my bills, whatever that was important to me, I put on that to-do list for that day. And then I categorize it by priority. What was priority to me? Is it just getting up in the morning and running around my day and just I'll be exhausted and by 12 o'clock in the noonday? Or was my priority first spending time being filled in prayer and getting with God? So my priority first to me is spending time with the Lord, because after that, everything else to me will fall in place. So on my list, I put priority. What is your first thing, your second, your third, fifth? And you just put in there what you need and what you want to do for that day. And then you will see that as you go throughout the day, you look at your list, you can just mark it off. And one thing I noticed that when I started marking things off, it gave me a sense of accomplishment that, wow, I didn't use my day to day as just sitting and looking at television. I didn't use my time frivolously. I used it. I took advantage of it. I kind of, it's another way of wording it, became a good steward over it. Because even our time, God gave us that to be a good steward over it. We have to use it and treat it valuable for us in our life, because it is. Because one moment you're here, one moment you're not. One moment you can accomplish something, one moment you can't. But when we take the time to evaluate what's going on and we take the time to create a to-do list, you will see how peaceful not only your environment on the outside will be, but how peaceful you will be on the inside. You will feel peaceful. You will feel restful, relaxed, chilled. And another thing that helped me through this week too was the ability that is one of the major time management tools I can think of, is when I start saying no. You know, I had to say no to my friends. I had to say no to certain things because I knew that what I had to do and I had to accomplish was more important than hanging out with them, because they're going to be there. You know, they're not going to go anywhere. And there's always going to be another day to hang out. Always going to be another day to do something. So with those two things, these couple of weeks, it like freed me. It gave my mind so much peace. I was able to sleep better. I was even refocused on what really was important. Another thing that helped me when I did do the to-do list was to look at my list, and I realized that everything that was on there, I didn't accomplish it. I didn't meet that. But it made me not panic because I didn't accomplish it. And it made me not feel like I had to complete it. So I looked at it and I said, okay, well, I didn't do these items, so let me carry it over for the next day. And I know sometimes we have to just feel like we are super women and supermen and we got to accomplish everything and we got to reach the goal. You know, I'm not saying that you can't reach goals and you can't accomplish things, but when it becomes to the point that you're doing so much to where you're not effective, then that's when you have to stop and say, okay, I'm just doing too much because I need to be effective. We need to be effective in everything that we do, especially for me when I look at my schoolwork, because of the degree that I'm going for, I'm going to be involved in people's lives. So I have to be effective in what I'm doing now to be able to manage the time that I need to share with them. So be encouraged this week to overcome the time crunch, and that you can do it no matter what you got to face, no matter how much time you feel like you don't have. Say like David said. David asked the Lord to teach me to number my days. Teach me to redeem my time so that you may gain wisdom. This is Overcoming Life. I am your host, Opal Bailey. God bless you.